A crafty escape. Introduction. Dressing in costumes as someone else can be entertaining and fun. Now imagine that your life depends on how well you play that part. In the 19th century, that was the case of the crabs. They disguised themselves to escape being enslaved. Born into slavery. William and Ellen Craft were black Americans born into slavery. William, born in 1824, lived in Macon, Georgia. His family was owned by a man who liked to gamble. To settle his debts, the man sold off the members of William's family one at a time. William was sold when he was 16 years old. He had been working as a carpenter and was quite skilled. His new enslaver realized that he could gain good income from William's skills. He and William continued to work as a cabinet maker and earn money for him. Ellen was 2 years younger than William. Her father was a white man who enslaved Ellen's mother. Ellen's skin was very light, and people didn't suspect her mother as black. At the age of 11, Ellen was given to her newly married half-sister to do the work of servant. Ellen moved to Macon with her half-sister's family. There, she eventually met William. A decision fueled by love. William and Ellen fell in love and wanted to be together. The marriages between enslaved people are complicated. They need their enslavers' permission to wed. If enslaved couples have different enslavers, the couple could not live together. In 1846, Ellen and William got permission and were married. For 2 years, they lived apart, seeing each other only occasionally. Being apart was hard for the crabs. They knew that one of them could be sold at any time and sent far away from the other. The crabs realized that the only way they could live as a family would be to escape and flee north. Black people could live freely in the northern states. But how could the crabs do it without being caught? Fortunately, they have a plan. Preparing and planning. The crabs came up with daring the scheme. They would travel to Pennsylvania, the nearest free state. Because Ellen's skin was so light, she would pretend to be a white person. William could travel with her as her loyal house servant. There was just one problem. Ellen could not travel as a woman. Women of that era did not travel alone, and they certainly didn't travel with an enslaved man. It was only one way their plan would work. Ellen had to travel disguised as a white man. Ellen was fearful at first. If they were caught, they would be harshly punished. She finally agreed. They decided how a disguise could work. The night of the escape, William would cut her hair short. She would wear special undergarments to hide her figure. She would also wear a bandage around her face and green spectacles. These could hide her smooth skin and womanly features. To complete the disguise, Ellen would wear one arm in a sling. Ellen was never allowed to learn to read or write. An injured arm would give her the perfect excuse not to have to sign her name for tickets. Traveling as a sick person would also explain William's presence as a good servant, helping his enslaver. As long as they acted their parts, no one would suspect a thing. The great escape begins. The crabs decided to leave on December 21, 1848. They had been hiding money from his cabinet making for the trip. The couple asked their slaves some time off for Christmas. Time off was often given to enslaved people at Christmas to celebrate with their families. The crafts could leave and not be missed until they were long gone. When the day came, William cut Ellen's hair and helped her into her costume. They both said a prayer and went to town to buy train tickets to Savannah, Georgia. Travel at that time was separated, so they were separated train cars. They sat and waited to begin their trip. Suddenly, William noticed a familiar face on the train platform. It was the owner of a cabinet-making shop where William worked. The man thought William might be fleeing with his wife and began walking through the train, searching for them. William crouched down in his seat, shaking with fear. As the man reached William's car, a departure bell rang. The man left, and William sighed in relief. He was safe. Ellen, sitting in another train car, had a scare of her own. When her seatmate arrived, Ellen recognized him as a good friend of her enslaver. This man was someone who had known Ellen for years. Ellen sat very still and did not dare look up. The man greeted her and sat down without a second look. Ellen pretended to be deep so she could avoid talking and giving herself away. Setting sail for freedom, the crafts reached Savannah safely and boarded a steamer trip for Charleston, South Carolina. When they arrived in Charleston and tried to buy tickets to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, however, they ran into trouble. The clerk refused to sign for couple tickets despite Ellen's apparent injury. Luckily, the boat captain from their first ship passed by. He vouched of the pair, and soon they were on their way north again. They met the final hurdle in Baltimore, Maryland. Slave states that share borders with free states have border patrols. These patrols checked for escapees. The Maryland Border Patrol stopped the crafts and demanded proof of William's ownership. Of course, William and Ellen had no such paperwork. They feared their quest for freedom was over. When the boarding bell sounded, one officer took pity on the pair. He ordered the conductor to let them aboard. The crafts arrived safely in Philadelphia on Christmas morning. They found friends and shelter in the home of an abolitionist across the ocean to safety. 3 weeks after arriving in Philadelphia, the crafts went on to Boston, Massachusetts. William got a job as a cabinet maker, and Ellen worked as a seamstress. For a while, life was good for the crafts. The happiness did not last. However, in 1850, Congress passed the Fugitive Slave Act. The act made it a crime to protect escapees, even in free states. Law officers could receive a large reward for capturing and returning escapees to their enslavers. 2 bounty hunters arrived in Boston, determined to bring the crafts back to Georgia. The terrified crafts hid with friends, but they could not bear to live in fear. In December 1850, they set out on another journey, this time to England. The long trip home. The crafts settled in West London and had 5 children. They gave lectures against slavery through Great Britain. In 1860, William published a book about their escape. The crafts became teachers, ran a boarding house, and went to business to support their family. In 1870, several years of slavery had ended in the United States. William and Ellen returned to their homeland. They settled outside Savannah, Georgia, purchased a farm, and founded 2 schools for black people. However, the end of slavery didn't mean the end of craft struggles against an unjust society. White people who opposed equal rights for black people burned down those schools. In 1873, a craft started in a school in Georgia. Anger and harassment by white people forced them to close it down. Afterwards, the crafts lost their land because no bank would loan them the money they needed for their farm. In 1890, they moved in with a daughter and lived with her until they died. In the end, they achieved what they wanted most from life. They raised a family that could not be torn apart by slavery and lived out their lives forever. Bye.